Listen.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Now, sometimes people say, well, you mean everything that I understand will confuse me if I don't understand racism? Yes, because racism is the dominant political and religious motivating force among the people of the planet in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. That covers just about everything that any person, minute by minute, might be doing or engaged in any time of day or night, anywhere on the planet. You don't try to overcome the fear. That fear is real. And the circumstances that bring on the fear is real. You're correct. You're on a job and you start talking about racism all the time, that sends out a flag. That's a bell that's going off. And in many cases, you are working yourself out of a job, which is not what you intend to do. So you, on job situations, or in situations where you begin to sense that people are beginning to fear you because you're talking about racism, both black people and white people are backing away from you, you simply don't talk about racism. See, counter-racist codification is about science. It's about getting results. It's not about just doing things because you want to do it, even if it's the correct thing to do. It's about going about doing things so that you get the most constructive result out of what you're doing. So, in a compensatory way, which is also a title in the code book, compensatory, meaning, how do you make up for what's missing? Okay? What's missing is justice. So you center on what you're trying to get rid of racism for. It's the reason why you're trying to get rid of racism. It's so you can replace it with something better.
Mm-hmm.
No point in replacing racism with something that's worse than racism, whatever that might be. That doesn't make sense. That's not logical. But you're trying to replace racism with what? Something that most people throughout the world say that they are all for. And that is a thing called what? Justice.
All righty.
Justice meaning guaranteeing that no one is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most help. And in most cases, in the system of white supremacy, on job situations and every other situation that you can name, when you look around, who are the people who are being mistreated the most in the system of white supremacy? And who are the people who need help the most constructive help in the system of white supremacy? You will find, I think, by discovery or whatever, most of them will be classified as black and or non-white, all right? So if just through the process of talking about justice at the lunch table, talking about just two things, guaranteeing right there on that job, nobody being mistreated. Is anybody on this job being mistreated? Anybody? Okay? That's not supposed to happen. Not only on jobs, that's not supposed to happen anywhere in the world, even for 5 minutes. All right? 2 minutes. 20 seconds. A second. No one is supposed to be mistreated ever. All right? So you can say that without having to look over your shoulder and see who's going to disagree with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most people, white, non-white, male, female, whomever, most people are not going to say, well, it's okay to mistreat people in some circumstances. I don't think anybody's ever going to say that, and without them getting in trouble, all right? So that's the way you go. And is everybody getting the constructive help that they need? And you start with the person that needs the most help, okay? If Miss Mary Jones down the hall looks like she's struggling, she needs the most help,
mm-hmm.
then everybody in that factory, in that office building, is supposed to say, wait a minute, this lady works here. And we are not supposed to have anybody mistreated here, and we are supposed to be helping everybody who's here, starting with the person that needs the most help. So if Miss Mary Jones down the hall in Section 4 needs the most help, then everybody's supposed to concentrate on seeing to it that Miss Mary Jones gets the help that she needs. That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do.
I hope that answers your question, because a lot of people keep saying that.
Okay.
So what can we do without getting in trouble and whatnot? You shouldn't ever get in trouble by saying you're for justice and against non-justice. That's all you have to say. You don't even have to mention color.
Okay.
That will take care of itself. Particularly in job situations, they set black people up. One thing, many white supremacists have concluded that in most cases, or in many cases, black people, non-white people, act according to their emotions. So they know what buttons to push. They just about know when they're going to fire you and how they're going to go about doing it, because they know when they're going to make you angry. They know how to make you angry. They know how to make you laugh. They know how to get you to relax. They know how to get you uptight. So they say, okay, well, we're going to get rid of that fella today. So we'll have him come in, and we'll start telling him this and telling him that and whatnot. We got our own strategies and whatnot. And we have been studying him, and we know that he has a temper. So at this point, this one thing, because white supremacists always study their victims, and they know more about their victims than the victims know about themselves, all right? The white supremacists know more about me than I will ever know about myself, all right? They make it their business to do that. So they can kind of predict behavior. And in job situations, when they get rid of a non-white person, they'll say, hey, what we'll do, we'll make him mad, because we know what will make him mad. So, about 9 o'clock today, when he does this and whatnot, you go over and say to him this, and this. Now, that'll get him angry, and he's going to immediately blow up. He's going to start calling names and all like that. And today, by 5 o'clock, he'll be fired. So we'll just set him up for that. He'll walk right into the trap. He won't be expecting it. And this happens all the time.
Yes.
See what I mean? So non-white people should be aware of this. When they get ready to get rid of you, everything is just fine, but now he's got a cousin that needs your job, and he says, hey, well, Henry, that black guy down there, he's got that position, and he's doing an excellent job and all like that. Say, well, but my cousin needs that job. So how are we going to get rid of Henry and do it all nice and neat? Say, well, we'll make him angry. So you know how these people are. They always got a chip on their shoulder and whatnot. They always want somebody to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
They're real big on respect. So you say something that sounds like you're disrespecting them. He's going to go off. It's not going to be disrespect, because these black people don't even know what respect is. See, they just know what we have told them.
So they set them up, huh?
They don't have a definition for respect.
Mm-hmm.
They think they do. Okay? So we'll have them play in our hands, just like they do with everything that we relate to them. That's why we're dominant. That's why we are white supremacists. And that's why they're always victims, because they do not think ahead. They only think about how they feel at the moment. And we'll always use that against them, because they're very emotional people. They fly off the handle real quick. See what I mean? But you got to know what buttons to push. And we know what buttons to push, because we understand them better than they understand themselves.
You're being set up. Yeah.
When you run the kindergarten, you know your children. All right? And that's what the white supremacists look at the whole world of non-white people. They say, we know how to move these people around. They don't even know they're being moved around. We know how to, set them up for, make them laugh like you wouldn't believe. And we know how to make them mad. Just have them, storming around the place, knocking things over. We know how to do that. See, so we'll just orchestrate it. Anytime we want them to do anything, we know how to handle them. They don't know anything about how to handle us, even though they think they do. That's why they're in the position that they're in, and we're in the position that we're in. We're white supremacists, and they are victims of white supremacy, just like all their ancestors, because they didn't know anything either. On every job situation for a non-white person in the system of white supremacy, when you speak sparingly. You don't say any more than is absolutely necessary to be said in order to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in the best manner. And the best way to always speak, if you can frame whatever you say, because it comes down to how you're speaking most of the time. Whatever you say, try to put it in the form of a question rather than statements. Statements sometimes are resisted, particularly coming from a black person among white people. Start making statements immediately. Many white people, not all, but many, will look at you to say, wait a minute, are you fixing to tell me something? What do you know to tell me? What do you know to tell me? I'm a white person, and you're black. Do you know anything to tell me that's worth listening to? Now, many white people have been taught to think that way. So you have to recognize that as a fact. That goes with the system of white supremacy. You are a black person in a system of white supremacy trying to tell a white person about what the real deal is about anything, when everything that you have ever learned, Negro, that's worth knowing came from somebody white. That's the way many white people look at a black person. In other words, they're saying in so many words when they look at you, what are you talking to me for? Trying to teach me anything. You don't know enough to teach me anything, because I get to the people who taught you. The people who taught you taught me before they taught you, boy, girl. See, that is in the mind of many a white person throughout this planet. You have to know that, not guess about it. You have to know that and believe it, because it's true. It's true. That's what white supremacy does. They get constructive information before you even hear about it. But anything that's a bunch of nonsense, you'll get a ton of that, because they want black people's heads to be full of nothing but foolishness. So they'll help you with anything that's absolutely stupid. But they will hold in reserve anything that's absolutely precious, anything that's really going to take you somewhere, that's going to empower you. They'll steer you away from it. Now, some people have said they've seen some cartoons of my work on the internet that have been presented, and that it pretty well embellishes what I have been trying to say in my textbooks. And to the extent that it does that, well, that has been, from what I understand, some people reported to me, a plus. Because they didn't understand what I had written very well, but when they saw those cartoons that just repeated what I was saying and attaching my name to it, and came right out of the book, the material did, they say that they better understood it. And I can understand that, because people are kind of visual, particularly in the year 2021 now, more visual than ever.